In the glittering world of Manhattan's elite, two couples lived a life most could only dream of: wealth, power, and glamour beyond imagination. Stephen and Nicole Hunter, along with Alan and Vanessa Weston, moved through high society like royalty, their names whispered in awe at every gala and gallery opening. But behind the closed doors of their opulent mansions, they played a dangerous game, one that started with a thrilling twist and ended in a pool of blood. On March 6, 2019, Nicole Hunter was found brutally murdered. And the killer? It might not be who you think. This is a story of betrayal, passion, and a secret so shocking it turned friends into suspects overnight. I'm Williams from True Crime Intel, where we drop new true crime stories every week. Stick around for the jaw-dropping twist, and don't forget to like and subscribe to stay in the know. Let's rewind to where it all began. Stephen Hunter was a titan in the business world, a 52-year-old CEO of Hunter Industries with a reputation for razor-sharp acumen and unrelenting drive. His wife, Nicole, 45, was his perfect match. A celebrated art dealer whose gallery, opened in 2008, had become a beacon for emerging talent. With her sophisticated taste and magnetic charm, she lit up every room she entered. Then there were Alan and Vanessa Weston. Alan, 48, was a charismatic businessman with a knack for taking risks, while Vanessa, 46, was his poised, sharp-witted partner, a socialite with connections that opened every door in Manhattan. These two couples crossed paths on November 10, 2012, at a dazzling charity gala in one of the city's grandest venues. The night was electric. Hundreds of influential figures from art, finance, and tech mingled under chandeliers. But it was Stephen, Nicole, Alan, and Vanessa who found each other. They hit it off instantly, drawn together by shared passions for art, business, and the high life. Little did they know this chance meeting would set the stage for a friendship and a scandal that would end in murder. What would you do if your closest friends suggested something wild to spice up your life? Hold that thought. We're just getting started. Fast forward to 2015. By now, Stephen and Nicole Hunter and Alan and Vanessa Weston were inseparable. They spent weekends together at the Weston's sleek townhouse, attended high-profile gallery openings, and hosted lavish dinners that were the talk of Manhattan's elite. Their bond was unshakable, or so it seemed. One night, over glasses of vintage Bordeaux, Alan and Vanessa dropped a bombshell that would change everything. "Why don't we swap partners?" Alan suggested with that disarming grin of his. Vanessa nodded, her cool demeanor masking the thrill in her eyes. It was pitched as an adventure, a way to break the monotony of their polished, predictable lives. Stephen, always up for a challenge, raised an eyebrow but agreed. Nicole, ever the free spirit, was intrigued by the idea of exploring something new. And so it began. At first it was exhilarating. Secret glances across crowded galas, stolen moments during weekend getaways. They'd laugh about it over brunch, treating it like a game only they understood. But by 2017, the lines started to blur. Nicole and Alan weren't just playing anymore. Their connection deepened into something real. Late-night talks about dreams they'd never shared with their spouses, a chemistry that sparked every time they were near each other. Stephen and Vanessa, meanwhile, kept things light, enjoying the physical thrill without noticing the storm brewing. Could you handle an arrangement like this, or would jealousy creep in? Because for these four, it was about to tear everything apart. By March 5, 2019, the game had gone too far. The four were gathered at the Hunter Mansion, a sprawling estate on Manhattan's Upper East Side, its grand halls lined with Nicole's prized art collection. The air was thick with tension as they sat in the living room, the plush couch beneath them a silent witness to what was about to unfold. Nicole took a deep breath and dropped a bombshell that stopped the room cold. "I'm pregnant, and it's Alan's!" Silence. Vanessa's face twisted into a mask of rage, her eyes blazing as she stared at Nicole, hands clenching into fists. Stephen's face flushed red, his wide eyes locked on his wife, shock and hurt warring for control. Alan stepped forward, hands raised to calm the chaos, but Vanessa's glare pinned him in place. The perfect facade of their friendship shattered in an instant, replaced by raw betrayal and fury. No one knew what to say, and the night ended with slammed doors and unspoken threats hanging in the air. Less than 24 hours later, on March 6th, everything changed. Nicole Hunter was found dead in that same living room, sprawled across the floor in a pool of her own blood. She'd been stabbed multiple times, her elegant frame crumpled like a broken doll. The only people in the mansion that night, Stephen, Alan, Vanessa, and Mary, the quiet maid who'd been with the Schwartzmans for years. The police arrived, and the question burned. Who did it? One of them had blood on their hands, literally. Who do you think snapped? Stephen? Vanessa? Alan? We're about to find out. The police wasted no time. By the morning of March 6, 2019, the Hunter mansion was crawling with detectives, their boots echoing through the marble halls. The medical examiner arrived and pieced together a grim picture. Nicole had died from exsanguination, multiple stab wounds, likely from a letter opener found near the body. She was definitely pregnant, confirming her bombshell from the night before. But here's where it gets eerie. No signs of forced entry, no chaos in the room. The crime scene was too clean, too organized. This wasn't a random attack. Nicole knew her killer. The suspects, Stephen, Alan, Vanessa, and Mary the maid. Each had a story. Stephen claimed he'd been holed up in his study, working late into the night, oblivious to anything unusual. Alan said he was upstairs watching TV, lost in some mindless show. Vanessa insisted she'd been in their guest bedroom, reading a novel, far from the drama. Their alibis lined up, almost too perfectly. Then there was Mary. She told police she'd been upstairs cleaning when she heard Nicole's voice downstairs, talking to someone. She couldn't make out who it was, but when she came down, she saw a horrific scene. Nicole being stabbed by a shadowy figure who turned and fled. Mary said she screamed, alerting the others. But her words sounded stiff, rehearsed. The detectives leaned in. Something wasn't right. Then came the first clue. A tiny, almost invisible thread of fabric lodged in a wound on Nicole's hand. It matched the living room couch, meaning the killer had been there, maybe sitting calmly before striking. The net was tightening, but who was lying? The truth was closer than anyone realized. The investigation took a wild turn when the police pressed Mary harder. She was nervous, her hands fidgeting, and that's when they noticed it. A small, precise cut on her hand. She brushed it off, saying she'd nicked herself on broken glass. But the detectives weren't convinced. It looked too clean, too deliberate, like a knife wound. Meanwhile, they dug into the couple's statements, and Mary let slip a detail that flipped the case upside down. For years, the Schwartzmans and Westons had been swapping wives. This wasn't just an affair. It was a consensual arrangement, a secret they'd kept from the world. Suddenly, motives were everywhere. Vanessa, Alan's wife, had every reason to hate Nicole. Jealousy over the pregnancy could have pushed her over the edge. Stephen, betrayed by his wife and humiliated by another man's child, might have snapped in a fit of rage. The police hauled them in, grilling them separately. "Were you swapping partners?" they asked. To their shock, all three, Stephen, Alan, and Vanessa, admitted it. "It was just an experiment," Stephen said, his voice flat. "A way to spice things up," Vanessa added, her cool facade cracking. Alan nodded, but his eyes darted away. The cops had their prime suspects: Vanessa, fueled by betrayal, and Stephen, wounded by infidelity. They took DNA samples, searched their belongings, but found nothing. No blood, no prints, no proof. With no hard evidence, the police had to let them go, but suspicion lingered like a shadow. Then that cut on Mary's hand kept nagging at them. They got a warrant and stormed the mansion again, determined to find the truth. The game was about to change. On March 20th, 2019, the case cracked wide open. The police had returned to the Hunter mansion with a fresh warrant, tearing through every room with a team of forensic experts. They'd been at it for hours when one detective noticed something in the basement. An incinerator tucked in a corner, its door slightly ajar. Inside, buried in the ashes, was a partially burned kitchen knife, its blade still gleaming faintly. They pulled it out, bagged it, and rushed it to the lab. The results hit like a thunderbolt. Mary's fingerprint was on the handle. They'd taken her prints early in the investigation, and now they had a match. The quiet maid was dragged back in, her face pale as the detectives laid out the evidence. She broke almost immediately, tears streaming down her cheeks as the confession poured out. It wasn't about the wife swapping or the pregnancy. It was simpler, uglier. Nicole had caught Mary stealing from the living room safe, prying it open with that very kitchen knife. "She threatened to call the police," Mary sobbed. "I panicked. I didn't mean to kill her." In a frantic struggle, she'd stabbed Nicole, desperation turning a petty crime into murder. The jury didn't buy her self-defense plea. Too many wounds, too much intent. After hours of deliberation, they found her guilty. The judge's voice was cold as he sentenced her to life without parole. Mary collapsed in her chair, a broken shell of the unassuming maid she'd once been. The Schwartzmans and Westons sat silently in the courtroom, their faces blank. Their glittering world had crumbled, all because of a game that spiraled out of control and a maid who couldn't outrun her own fear. Were you shocked by Mary? The truth was hiding in plain sight. And so the story of the Schwartzmans and Westons came to a devastating end. What started as a glamorous friendship fueled by wealth and daring choices unraveled into a nightmare of jealousy, betrayal, and bloodshed. Nicole Hunter's life was cut short not by the passion or rage of her husband or friends, but by the desperate hands of Mary, a maid who'd been invisible until she wasn't. The kitchen knife, once a tool for petty theft, became the weapon that exposed the fragility of their perfect lives. Mary will spend the rest of her days behind bars, haunted by that moment of panic, while Stephen, Alan, and Vanessa are left to pick up the pieces of a world forever tainted by scandal. It's a chilling reminder that even in the brightest circles of high society, darkness can lurk just beneath the surface. Could this have been avoided if they'd never crossed that line? If Mary had never reached for the safe? It's hard to say, but one thing's clear. Their reckless game cost them everything. What do you think? Where did it all go wrong? Drop your theories in the comments because I'd love to hear them. If this twisted tale gripped you as much as it did me, give it a thumbs up and join the crew by subscribing. We've got more wild stories coming your way. Until next time, stay curious and take care.